Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. Today is the 28th of April 2023. There was an hour-long Star Citizen live with the animation director Steve Bender. Here's what you need to know. We had Steve from animation. Jared said that we would not only be getting information about the game and the development, but also about the person. Steve is a self-proclaimed lover of tiki drinks and tiki bars, according to Jared. Like Jared, Steve recently moved full-time to Manchester this April. He had a start in graphic design and pitched his portfolio back in the early days around the original Street Fighter 2. He continued training in animation, and this led to a new job. He spoke about animating little sprites in 2D games. Those are those little explosions, and then Crytek was next, and eventually he migrated over to Star Citizen. The title, Director of Animation, doesn't really need an explanation, but it's important to note that his job focuses on mocap and how animations are tied together both for Squadron and for PU. Steve said that he has recently jumped into the mocap suit, so his motions will be immortalized within Star Citizen. Player, motion, gameplay, and facial are the animation pillars. Player animations are having to do with any body form that moves. Firing weapons, running, vaulting, falling, eating, standing, all of these fall into these disciplines. Steve said that usually in a single-player first-person shooter, you don't really need to focus on the actual player, as most of it is just your hands and what their hands are doing. Animating weapon actions are critical, and they have staff with firearms training on board to make that good. Care and consideration are taken to ensure that the field of view in real life will match what's seen in the game, but liberties might be taken, however, for the sake of gameplay. For example, a reload motion might be raised higher into your player field of view. Your player awareness in this example is more important than being able to be true to reality. An interesting issue with this would be that this is artificially lifting the arms for the player, so any onlookers that would see your reload might cause visual issues. It would look weird. They work to balance these to preserve immersion. Jared observed that the player view isn't faked like some other games, so your field of view is actually a camera in your player's eye, in the correct place. They spoke about some bugs having to do with animations, NPC players that don't path properly. They used the example of an NPC who perhaps forgot something and needed to quickly turn around. They animated that moment that the NPC would pause, think, and then turn around to make this make sense for us. Jared said that that would be fantastic because that would bring the NPC to life and seal the immersion, the tiny thought moments that make things seem alive. They spoke about animating two things at the same time, walking and using a data pad. It all sounded super complicated to stitch all this shit together, and we got a greater appreciation of how and why Star Citizen is trying to redefine the standard, and perhaps why everything is taking so long. 30 minutes into the show, they switched over to speaking about facial animations. Jared mentioned that this is how bad animations can really kill an entire game. Steve said that as soon as the helmet's off, the importance increases because it's not just mouth to eyebrows, it's the whole head. Steve continued, but the TLDR is that he knows that us players know when things are off. The uncanny valley, as it's known, and everything has to be animated for the characters. So if they're sad, happy, frustrated, the entire range. Motion capture and performance capture are similar, but PCAP is used when the entire performance is taken from an actor, including the spoken word. The NPC walking around Area 18 might be mocap, and Mark Hamill walking and talking you to your fighter in Squadron 42 would likely be performance capture. Mocap can be voiced over to complete the deal, but everything is captured at once for PCAP. Steve spent time refining the rigid NPC locomotion, breaking it all up into little segments with more variation to improve the effect. Then we were talking about adding more sign language emotes. They were talking about tandem emotes, where a player might go up to another and issue a high five, and then the other player would automatically do it. They spoke about tandem dancing and tandem hugging, and then they went to a break. We saw a break screen, and then they spoke about sandwiches for 10 minutes, and that was it. A fun show. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Please look out for my review of Hogwarts Legacy. Sometimes as gamers, it's healthy to take a break and play something else. If you enjoy the breakdowns, please consider subscribing so I can help to keep you up to date. And of course, please consider sharing with a friend or org mate, as that helps a lot. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.